This morning, we're shining our spotlight on the case at the state park in Arkansas called Devil's Den, where authorities have arrested a 28-year-old school teacher, Andrew James McGann. This is him. He was apprehended while he was in a barbershop about to get his hair cut. His arrest is in connection to the deaths of this married couple, Clinton and Cristen Brink. They were out hiking in a remote area of the park with their two young daughters when they were murdered. Their daughters were left unharmed. Arkansas Governor Sarah Huckabee Sanders had this to say to reporters after the arrest, quote, "If you commit a violent, senseless act here in our state, our law enforcement will hunt you down and bring you to justice, because that's what the people of Arkansas frankly deserve." Now, this arrest comes a day after police released a brand new image of who they say is the man who they wanted for questioning. This is the image right here, a picture taken from behind by somebody who just happened to be out on a trail. Gosh, it gives me chills. Thank goodness for that. And they were able to apprehend this man, a 28-year-old school teacher, had just moved to Arkansas, was about to start a job, and police say he did this double homicide. Let's bring in two of the best investigators around. I have with me Manuel Gomez and Lieutenant Mike Gould. Both of these gentlemen served in the NYPD. Both of them served in our military. Great to have you both on the program this morning. So let's talk a little bit about what it's like in the hunt for a suspect like this. For those of us who are ignorant and in the public and have never done one of these searches, as you both have done many in your careers, what is it like when you're trying to track down somebody that could potentially be a threat to other people and could potentially harm other people before the capture? Manuel, would you start us off, please?
Well, I have to first say, outstanding to the absolute resolute effort of the law enforcement in Arkansas for taking this monster off the street. Great job, outstanding. This almost was the perfect murder. He had the right location. There was no cameras. If it wasn't that he showed up at that salon and that they identified the clothes he was wearing, he might have gotten away with this. So thank God for the relentlessness of the Arkansas police. Doing a case like this, you have to turn up every stone. This was an investigator's nightmare because, like I said, it was the sheer luck of that one person accidentally taking a picture of that guy that broke the ice on this case. Again, this was an investigator's nightmare, but it turned out to be a blessing because it just shows law enforcement will not quit.
Isn't that the truth? God bless those men and women in law enforcement who captured this guy, and God bless you both for your service in law enforcement. Not an easy job. It is. I say it's the toughest job in the world, and I really mean that. Lieutenant Gould, let me go to you next. Your thoughts on the capture and take us kind of behind the scenes. What's it like when you do a case like this?
Yeah, Julie, and thanks for having me. And of course, I agree with Manuel. This is a great day for law enforcement, another great day for law enforcement. But just in the last few months, we've had these horrendous murders by men in their late 20s. Luigi Mangione, the Midtown shooter just yesterday. And they were intelligent people, obviously some element of mental disorder. So as far as the apprehension, in this day and age, most often you can run, but you can't hide. Even in these rural environments that used to be you'd get lost, there's trail cameras actually now. The Idaho shooter recently who killed the firefighters was picked up on a trail camera. So digital footprints are really difficult to avoid. Could be time consuming. They could disappear in these rural areas for weeks and months, but there hasn't been really, if you think about it, apprehension is always likely eventually, because they just can't stay in the wilderness forever, and they have to show themselves around the residential community, and then that's where people are alerted to him. He's going to need another vehicle, food, and so forth. So, and they don't go that far. Generally speaking, they're located within a reasonable proximity to the crime.
Really helpful points you both are giving us. Lieutenant, thank you for that. You know, speaking of the guys at the barbershop, he's going to get his hair cut, like, no big deal, I'm just gonna go about my life. You're right, he didn't go far at all. This guy, we have some information on him. I wanna share it with you both now. Teacher at a small Oklahoma school district until May. Then he resigned to take another job in another state, had not yet started this new job in Arkansas at the Springdale Public School District. Parents of a former teacher described him as, quote, the most standoff teacher she had ever met. Wow. State police arrested him at that barbershop, like I mentioned, in Springdale, Arkansas. He is 28 years old. I think a lot of people wondering, is there any connection with him and this couple? I know our facts are limited, but I would love an educated guess. Manuel, your thoughts on that, please.
I don't think that there is any connection with him and his couple. I do believe that he is a serial killer, and that he was just going out there to do it again. He put duct tape on his license plate because he knew what he was going to do. He randomly picked these people out. There was no connection. I don't believe this was his first murder. It was too well done. It was normal for him. And if you look at him, he has that same stoic look as Brian Kohlberger. I mean, when I look at him, I see a mirror image of him. And like the lieutenant said, you know, we've had Luigi Mangione. We've got the guys walking around with a rifle in Manhattan. I mean, the murders that are happening now by our youth is insane. We have a problem, and we have a national problem, and we need to try to do something to change this with our children.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you're right, Manuel. Thank you for that. Yeah, 3 daughters this couple leaves behind. 2 of them were with them at the time. Thank God they were left unharmed. Lieutenant Gould, I want to tap into your expertise with the use of canines. You retired as a commander, you know, of the canine unit in Nassau County. And in a search like this, curious how valuable dogs can be in tracking down a suspect like this guy, McGann.
Yeah, so in this case, the digital and witnesses, like Luigi Mangione, was sitting in a McDonald's and he was apprehended. Dogs are invaluable. Dogs in this environment, rural environments especially, outperform any other technology. They outperform helicopters that may or may not be able to fly. They outperform drones, and they outperform humans, frankly, because they're odor detectors. So they can generally go into these rural environments and pick up scent. That's incredible. So in my view, they're invaluable, and certainly they were used here, but the facts of the matter was that this person chose to get a haircut, as you said, rather than flee the scene and go into the woods. But dogs are, you know, maybe they're not as effective maybe in Midtown Manhattan as they would be, but in suburban and rural environments, this is their nature, you know, that they're part of nature, and they're taught to hunt human odor. So it's really, they're magnificent. They actually have almost supernatural powers when it comes to odor detection and finding human scent.
You know, I'm a big proponent in using canines in law enforcement, supporting the units that we know a lot of times rely on public donations to, in addition to what department funds are available. Would the reason, Lieutenant, would the reason that they're better in detecting, perhaps tracking a suspect in a rural area, you know, versus like you use Midtown Manhattan as an example? Is it because you have concrete in Midtown, where when you have grass, you get foot impressions? Is that why more of a scent could be left?
Well, that's certainly possible. I mean, dogs can be trained to track through the streets of Manhattan. Mm-hmm. We did that very frequently. It can be done, but obviously dogs are part of nature. They have 4 legs. This is their natural environment. New York City is their unnatural environment. So when we can deploy them. They have 4 legs, they're waterproof, they can move 30 miles an hour, 20 to 30 miles an hour. They're very agile, so it's just a hell of a lot easier in a suburban or rural where there's vegetation, woods, they can climb cliffs. They're incredible in that environment. And they do great work in the inner city, but it just takes a lot more training for them to adapt to the subway. We can take dogs into the subway system and onto apartment buildings. So it's quite impressive, but it's more difficult. The natural, your dog could probably find somebody in a wooded or vegetated area just out of curiosity.
Right.
They don't have to be
That
highly
makes
trained.
sense.
They would just go and say somebody's in the backyard.
Sure.
And they would detect human odor.
That makes sense. Well, I love when we always have them in the city. Like you say, they make everything safer, you know, arenas, courthouses. That's always awesome when we see the dogs there. We'll keep talking about this case and keep digging in. You both always offer such incredible insight and analysis. Thank you both kindly. Manuel Gomez of Black Ops, Private Investigators, and Lieutenant Mike Gould, also the owner of Houndstown USA. Thank you both kindly.